Relay, we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Joyce had this to say on a Zhang rematch. Hopefully we can rectify mistakes, come back bigger and stronger. I wonder if he means bigger in the literal sense, because it was noticeable that Joyce was rather fit and trim ahead of the Zhang fight, the first one.
Is he going to put on weight for the second?
I don't know how the hell that's supposed to help him stay out of the way of that straight left hand, that backhand from Zhang. Better still, in a recent interview, Joyce was asked if anything went awry during his preparation for the Zhang fight, and the heavyweight simply demurred. Preparation was good, sparring southpaws, Joyce told IFL TV. I had a number of different ones, I don't know. You can nitpick my performance, my participation in the camp, you can nitpick with my coaches and my team. What went wrong there?
Reality is that Joyce's reputation for having a cast iron jaw finally caught up to him.
The truth is that when you develop a reputation for being able to take a punch, at some point you're going to take a punch that you can't take.
It's going to take you out.
You can argue that Joyce's chin held up because he never lost consciousness in the match. He was never knocked down. He wasn't really knocked out, smooth out.
You can argue that, but from where I was sitting, it looked like he was en route to being knocked out.
He wasn't wearing those left hands well. We had a conversation with handlers, Adam Morley and Shane Watson, the other day, about all these things, and hopefully we can rectify them going forward and making improvements where needed. So like the next time around, not to make the same mistakes and come in bigger and stronger and harder, hopefully. Zhang showed what he's made of, and he really showed that he's a proper heavyweight that hasn't really been given much opportunity. He's kind of late into his career, and I gave him that opportunity to my detriment. Got freaking stopped, didn't I? Obviously, I've got to come back from that and come in stronger.
Can he do it?
Joyce has stayed in character up until this point, the way pressure fighters often do, but pressure fighters, they don't change much fight by fight. They don't change much in between fights. What adjustments can Joyce possibly make to take this guy out when what he normally does is wear down his opponents by way of volume?
Yeah.
Volume punching.
Activity.
What's worked for him in the past is what backfired here. It's his activity, his willingness to open up whilst not keeping his head off center.
Perhaps normally he doesn't have to, because Joyce is a particularly big heavyweight.
As he's barreling forward and letting punches go, most guys are going to cover up. They're not going to want to open up and try for a shot because they risk getting caught. They risk getting hit.
Zhang, however, was willing to and able to because he's a big heavyweight the same way that Joe's a big heavyweight.
Harder to deter and harder to smother. Staying behind that guard and countering with that straight left hand. He couldn't miss with that thing.
What's Joe got to do?
Obviously, he's got to work on keeping his head off center. Moreover, he's got to work on countering the counter. That left hand he kept getting nailed with. That was a counter left hand, you understand.
A counter.
So can Joyce counter the counter? Can he counter the left hand with one of his own?
Don't forget, Zhang is a southpaw.
His left hand is his power hand, his backhand.
Can Joe counter it?
I mean, in theory, he can. In theory, anything's possible. Perhaps he can counter Zhang's left hand with a left hook or a lead right hand.
In theory.
If he doesn't have the speed to counter the counter, if that plan seems too haphazard, he can make a conscious effort to go to Zhang's body while he's shelled up behind that guard. See if he can't take the air out of the tires so there's not as much on Zhang's punches.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that all of a sudden at this age, Joyce is going to start slipping and sliding, rolling and riding punches.
Come on, if he were going to do that, he would have done that a long time ago.
Joe may not look it, but he's in his late 30s, and if he were going to make a conscious effort to take less damage, take less punches, he would have done that a long time ago.
How do you think he got that reputation? That reputation for having a cast iron jaw? It's because we're accustomed to seeing Joyce go out there and get hit.
Much can he change from one fight to the next? Can he really make the necessary adjustments to take Zhang out?
Pressure fighters don't change much in between fights.
They don't, but I guess what's working for Joe is that these are heavyweights, and at heavyweight, you're always one punch away from being knocked out. Just takes the right punch.
So you're giving him a puncher's chance.
I'm just saying that heavyweight is a more ambiguous division than any other division, because at any given moment, there's a guy hitting you that weighs over 200 pounds.
Can Joe really change that much between fights?
Well, we're gonna have a fun time finding out, and Joe, he may have a painful one.
Yeah, because Zhang is more the boxer than he is.
Rematches are usually won by the fighter that can make the most adjustments.
I'm not sure that's Joe.
Just in keeping with the theme of men's heavyweight news, Wilder's trainer, Malik Scotch, wants Anthony Joshua to avoid interim fight, worried that he'll get knocked off.
I think that statement from Malik Scotch reveals a lot about Team Wilder's mentality, how they approach fights and potential risks, wouldn't you say?
Without going into too much detail about the business aspect of it, everything's been said, talked about, negotiated, but nothing's been signed. Scotch told Betway. But signing is almost upon us. But the negotiations definitely are happening. The moves are being made. The business aspect is definitely being taken care of. And most of all, Deontay Wilder is being taken care of and is going to get paid very well for his services. And that's the most important part to me.
Negotiations sound like they're far along enough that Team Wilder are going to tread carefully, and they're advising that Anthony Joshua do the same.
You want to pay attention to that because for the longest time the debate raged on as to who was avoiding who. Was it Anthony that was avoiding Deontay, or was it Deontay that's avoiding Anthony? But here you see
Team Wilder saying take it easy. It's Team Wilder saying don't risk nothing.
This is going to sound bad, but I don't care. If a C-plus fighter that really believes in himself is against Anthony Joshua, he has a very good chance at beating AJ. You could be a C-plus guy, but if you really believe and you train hard and you work hard and you take advantage of the loopholes of AJ, you could beat him, Scotch said. I'm not afraid of him fighting, but let's say I don't agree with AJ having an interim fight. I want us to be next to knock out Anthony Joshua. The way he's looking now, he may not make it to December. There's just no telling, but we'll see. He's with Derek James now, one of the best trainers in the game, and I reiterate, this says a lot about Team Wilder's mentality.
I think it does.
Based on this, should we not expect Deontay Wilder to fight this summer? Should we not expect him to return until the fall and winter months?
Could be in line for a Usyk fight.
Talked about that in my previous video and how things seem to be falling apart for what was supposed to be the Usyk versus Dubois fight. Deontay Wilder is the next man in line by way of the WBA's ranked standings.
WBA's let it be known that if Dubois is unable to compete, they will move down their ranked standings to the next available contender.
To that, the word from Team Wilder is they're ready to explore an Usyk title clash if the Dubois scenario falls apart.
But are they? Are they willing to gamble all the money they stand to make in December to share the ring with Alexander Usyk? The Usyk fight ain't as big as the Joshua fight.
If Deontay was offered to fight with Alexander Usyk, of course we would be interested, longtime manager Shelley Finkel told Sky Sports. The WBA released a statement on Tuesday which set down a purse bid for the Usyk versus Dubois encounter. The World Boxing Association ordered the purse bid between heavyweight super champion Alexander Usyk and his mandatory challenger Daniel Dubois, which will take place on May 25th in Houston, Texas.
Daniel Dubois has since parted ways with his trainer Shane McGuigan and has enlisted the aid of Don Charles, veteran trainer Don Charles. He used to train Derek Chisora a long time ago.
Now he's training Daniel. There's a question as to whether or not Usyk versus Dubois will take place. Why is it going to a purse bid? Why hasn't Frank Warren been able to iron out a deal? And how does this scenario affect the potential monster match for later on this year involving Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder?
Is that even going to happen now?
We don't know. If things fall apart between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois, Wilder is the next man in line. But think about what they're telling Anthony Joshua. They're telling him to tread carefully. Don't risk anything. They've got that December date in mind. They want to make it there.
Them facing Alexander Usyk is a risk.
And who's supposed to pay for that fight? Who's supposed to bankroll it? We don't even know what Wilder's situation is with the PBC and Showtime anymore.
We don't.
If push comes to shove, and Deontay Wilder is afforded an opportunity to box Alexander Usyk for 3 of the 4 alphabet titles at this weight, what will he prioritize? The titles or the money he stands to make with AJ?
It's a legitimate question.
And it's the funniest thing. For all the criticism that Anthony Joshua gets, nobody's in a hurry to fight the fighters that he's fought. Consider that Deontay Wilder was supposed to be fighting Andy Ruiz. Tyson Fury was supposed to be fighting Alexander Usyk. And what do we see?
They both.
Fights didn't happen. That when it was Wilder's turn to fight Andy Ruiz, didn't materialize. When it was Tyson Fury's turn to fight Alexander Usyk, didn't happen.
Anthony Joshua fought the both of those guys. No fuss, no muss, no problem.
More than once. No issues. He won some, he lost some, but he went through with it because he's a fighter. Whereas these two, they're a lot more selective. I've seen the media make Deontay Wilder.
They've made it out to be an act of courage that Deontay Wilder chose to fight Tyson Fury instead of Anthony when Tyson Fury was a man on the rebound. rebounding from obesity and cocaine addiction when Deontay Wilder approached him.
And this was when both Anthony and Deontay were both unbeaten fighters, unbeaten champions, on the cusp of an undisputed title fight with each other. Wilder chose to fight the fat guy who was also a substance abuser, but you let the media tell it, and it was this act of valor, this act of courage. It's nauseating. And who do we see now advising Anthony to tread carefully, to be careful, that they'd prefer he not fight at all over the summer?
Is it the same guys who walked away from an Andy Ruiz fight?
One and the same. Should we expect those same guys to take on Alexander Usyk in between now and that December showdown? Are they willing to gamble? Are they willing to jeopardize the super fight later on this year?
The 3 alphabet titles.
At Wilder's age? I'm not sure he cares about titles. We'll see.
Oh, we know what he wants to do on the inside. He wants to make it a dirty fight. Slip the jab.
Dirty? How do you know? How do you know?
Slip the jab. Because I know.
Where did you see a dirty fight during my career? Where?
Well, you know.
In which fight? In which fight?
You know that's your best
Which
bet.
fight?
You know that's your best bet against me.
What's the best?
Like your best bet. I mean,
Best chance. Only thing you can do. Best chance.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do.
Самые лучшие шансы тебя как бы ты.
My best chance do dirty fight?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Never. Have you ever seen him fighting dirty?
Yes, I have.
Where?
All of your fights.
Which one?
All of your fights.
Which one?
Homie,
So where it was dirty? Where?
punching on the inside. When you say break, punch. Break, punch.
No, man. No.
Oh yeah. We know what you're preparing.
Good. Good.
So
break me punch?
So it
Does
will
break me
Does
punch?
break mean punch or break means break?
Break. No.
Break
Punch? No, break you have to, but prepare yourself. Stop! Stop! It means stop. It means stop punching.
I don't understand why I need to explain this. I don't know. Maybe he need to explain because I don't understand what he's talking about. We have a judges. We have a referee in the ring, and of course, if you do something грязно, неправильно.
Dirty.
If you do something dirty, of course, it's not right. But I always try to stay a clean fighter, and
I don't understand it much either. Devin Haney saying we know Loma, we know his game plan to get inside, try to make it as dirty as possible, hit on the break and things like that. But I'm a strong fighter, I'm big, I'm conditioned, and I'm going to go in there and break him down. Devin Haney,
He's not a power guy. He's not the kind of fighter that breaks you down. He can outbox you, outmaneuver you, out-hustle you, but break you down.
no, not really. I mean, those comments from Devin seem to have confused a lot of people, Vasyl Lomachenko included. It's given rise to that conversation. In truth, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to make of it, but I enjoy it. A bit of back and forth ahead of this weekend's mega match.
He's saying that Loma's a dirty fighter because he hits after the break, but if that's your idea of dirty fighting, dirty boxing,
It's really not that dirty at all. That's tantamount to jaywalking in the boxing ring. I mean, if you're saying that that's against the rules, Vasyl Lomachenko can point out your excessive clinching as being against the rules.
Devin Haney would point that out.
That Loma hits on the break, that might be of particular interest to Devin Haney, who's got to be wary, be careful.
Devin's more prone to holding than Vasyl Lomachenko is, and he's got to be careful when those holds are broken that Loma don't get a couple of shots in there. That's likely Devin Haney's plan, to smother Vasyl Lomachenko's work mid-range to inside.
I don't think it's Devin's plan to engage Vasyl Lomachenko in the pocket. I think it's his plan to smother him if he gets there.
That's why he paid close attention to what Lomachenko does on the break.
That range favors Vasyl Lomachenko, you understand. Mid-range to inside. If he can sail past the jab, slip it, get under and or around it, get close to Devin, he can put punches together.
Don't forget that he's a southpaw.
Yeah.
Devin Haney's money punch is the jab, whereas Vasyl Lomachenko, he's a southpaw who likes to stay on the outside of an orthodox fighter's jab.
Comes to the subject of Devin Haney's jab, Vasyl Lomachenko said, look, it's the same like Ryan Garcia, who has the left hook, but it doesn't work with guys who know boxing. We understand it, we know it. If you know about his jab, I know about his jab too.
Is he saying that Devin Haney is just as limited as Ryan Garcia? Is he saying that Devin is a one-trick pony?
It sounds like it,
Yeah.
and all's fair in love and war. If it's okay for Devin Haney to accuse Vasyl Lomachenko of being a dirty boxer, it's okay for Vasyl Lomachenko to call Devin Haney a one-trick pony, though it is true that Devin Haney's money punch really is the jab. He ain't got a strong right hand or a sharp left hook, an uppercut up the middle.
His money punch and his most effective punch is the jab.
A lot of people are pointing out Devin Haney's size, that he's already a lot younger than Vasyl Lomachenko, in some ways fresher and noticeably bigger, at least taller and longer. But that just means it's harder for Devin to get down to 135. That's one struggle that Vasyl Lomachenko don't have. He ain't got to kill himself to make the weight.
It's not as hard on him as it is on Devin.
Devin, who is noticeably taller and longer than Vasyl Lomachenko, how does he mean to use that size advantage? Well, Devin's a pure boxer, not a brawler. He's likelier to use his height and his length to keep a guy at arm's length, keep him out.
It's not the kind of guy who's trying to get in.
When you have a size advantage over your opponent, you can step into your punches to smother the guy, use your size to bully him and push him around, but that's not Devin. That's not what he does. It's not his bread and butter.
Devin is likelier to use his height and his length to keep a guy at arm's length, taking a half step back to prevent Vasyl Lomachenko from coming in.
Question is that going to work? Vasyl Lomachenko and those trademark pivots of his, getting around the guy.
He pivots to hit you into blind spots.
Against an orthodox fighter like a Devin Haney, that can be particularly effective because you're already moving outside of the guy's jab, leading with your right hand,
moving to your right,
which is on the outside of his left. Tack on that Vasyl Lomachenko is very fleet of foot, very nimble, light on his feet.
Sudden pivot.
Devin has to watch out for that. He has to turn with Vasyl Lomachenko as he pivots to keep him in front of him and keep him at arm's length, working that jab.
Got to turn with him.
Show different varieties of his own jab, changing the cadence of that jab as to not have it countered by Vasyl Lomachenko's jab over the top.
Southpaw jab can counter an orthodox jab.
If that southpaw's lead foot is on the outside of that orthodox fighter's lead foot.
This is a high-level fight, make no mistake.
Vasyl Lomachenko can't afford to take 3 or 4 rounds to find his groove, find his mojo. He has to get off to a strong start.
He can feel him out in the first round, maybe the first 2, but by round 3, things need to be going on. Things need to be picking up.
Learn his lesson from that performance in the Teofimo Lopez fight. It took Vasyl Lomachenko far too long to get started in that fight, though in that fight, unlike this one, he was in there with a power puncher.
Devin's got a lot of tools, but power ain't one of them.
Vasyl Lomachenko is not under threat of being stopped by Devin Haney. I don't think so.
He's got tools, but power ain't one of them.
This is a genuine 50-50 fight.